Hello everyone, my name is Ivan, and on this video I'm going to show you how to deploy a Medallion Architecture Pipeline on Unity Catalog using Databricks Asset Bundles. So let's get started. And important to mention the disclaimer, I am not going to teach you dApps in this tutorial. I'm just going to show you how to use dApps and deploy on a workspace using an existing repo, right? So this is the context. My organization named Super Company is starting a new Databricks project, and the project is to process and transform raw data files into business insights. And we need to follow the best practices on data governance, on data engineering, and DevOps, right? So permissions isolated, Medallion architecture, and CI/CD friendly. This is how the end-to-end project looks like. So this is all the components on the solution. So the flow looks like this. There's going to be a job. The job has two different tasks. The task number 1 generates the fake data on the volume for customers, products, and transactions. And then the task number 2 runs and triggers the Spark declarative pipeline. The Spark declarative pipeline is going to populate the bronze, the silver, and the gold schemas. And then there's going to be a warehouse that is going to serve the data, the gold data, to the warehouse. That's the scope, that's the goal. And as you can see on this, as of now, these are the supported resources on dApps on December 2025. The ones highlighted in green are the resources that we are going to use. As mentioned, so job, warehouse, pipeline, UC schemas and volumes, and permissions and grants in Unity Catalog. We are not going to use the other ones. But it's important to highlight that I can just add this into my project. So let's get started. We are going to use this project, this repo, as a reference. It might be a different link. So, but it's going to be the same repo. So let's go into this workspace. This workspace is a fresh workspace. It's empty. There's nothing on my folder here. There's nothing on the Unity catalog. You can see that this catalog is empty. There's just a default database and information schema. There's no jobs and pipelines, right? And also if you go to compute, there's nothing on the warehouses over here. So let's get started. Let's clone that repo in here. I'm going to create a new Git folder, and it needs to be a Git folder. So I'm just going to copy that. I'm going to paste that in here. And I'm going to keep the folder name. Let's click on create folder. This is going to clone that repo in here. If it doesn't work for you, just feel free to download that public repo and upload the files into your own repo and clone that own repo. Okay, so we have all these files in here. So let's open this in the editor. The editor is the classic file editor, right? So let's do some replacements first here on the Databricks YAML. Let's replace the catalog name. So let's use the one that I showed you. So in my example, it's called Super Company Dev. This one right here. So we replace on the line number 8. And the next thing to replace is the data engineers and the consumers groups. So before recording this video, I went into the workspace admin section on identity and access on groups, and in here I created these two groups. So this is the ones that I'm going to use in this example. And as you can see, the source is the account. So on data engineers, I will use the super company DE group. And on the consumers, line 17, the consumers group. So I just made 3 replacements on the variables. Don't touch the landing zone, keep it as it is. Because this, if the path is an S3 bucket, you can just replace S3 or ADLS in here. The last thing, let's modify the host in here, line 26. So I'm just going to copy this workspace URL, going to paste that here, and now we are good to go. If we go to the deployments section over here, this deployment section is everything related to Databricks Asset Bundles. I will say it's the Databricks Asset Bundles interface for the workspace. If you work locally, then you will have to run the CLI commands, right? The Databricks bundle, validate, deploy, run, destroy, so on and so forth, right? So in here, I just refreshed this section over here. We can see the resources that are going to be generated. 1 pipeline, 1 job, 1 volume, 1 warehouse, and 3 schemas. Everything looks okay for me. So I'm just going to click on deploy. This is the CLI version, and I'm just going to click here on deploy. There's a deployment output over here. So I'm just going to wait until this finishes. It's going to be a couple seconds. Okay, so the deployment has been successfully. You can see that now there's hyperlinks on the resources. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to trigger the job. This is the main asset. This is going to generate, let's remember, this is going to generate the raw files first, and then it's going to trigger the pipeline and populate the schemas, right? Let's go back to the workspace. The job is now running. So let's wait until the jobs finishes, and we will see what tables and what data generated. Okay, great. As you can see, the job is completed. It runs successfully, and the first task that generates the data was completed, and then the pipeline processed that data. Actually, let's go and let's take a look at the pipeline. Let's open the pipeline, and we can see here the bronze tables followed by the silver tables. You can see some records being dropped because the data quality expectations. Then on the silver layer still, there is a sales detail table, which is the join of the previous 3 tables. And from here we create the gold layer. So these are the tables, the aggregates, the KPIs for the business. And we can go into the catalog. And actually, let's take a look at the schemas over here. So you can see that on the bronze schema, there are 3 tables, 1 volume that contains the raw files. On silver, there's 4 tables. And lastly, on gold, we have the tables, the KPIs, the business aggregates. Let's take a look at sales by country. Actually, let's take a look on the SQL editor. Do you remember that we're also deploying a warehouse? This is the warehouse that was deployed from Databricks Asset Bundles. So if we go to the SQL editor, we can create a new SQL query. And what I can do is I can just go into the into my goal schema, can just drag and drop the sales by country, and I can select my warehouse over here. And I'm just going to click on run. So now I'm running this query on the warehouse. And here's the output. So we can see that this is the table that is being generated. One of the tables that is being generated on gold. And yeah, with this gold data, I can either use a Genius Space or a dashboard to serve this data. So as an example, I can come in here, click on create a new dashboard. I can go into the data, add a data source, can click on the one of the gold tables that was created. That is going to add a new data set, a new query that is used in the warehouse, right? That was deployed from dApps. Then I can just add a visualization here, over here, and I can tell the assistant to create a total sales by country, plot. Yeah, I will accept this, and let's say that the dashboard looks okay. So I can just go, click on publish, click here on publish, and I can provide the consumers can view permissions in this dashboard. So as you can see, that's it. That's how we easily deployed a job, a pipeline, 3 schemas, 1 volume, and 1 warehouse using asset bundles. We didn't review the code because that was not the objective of this tutorial. I will assume that you already went through the dApps enablements tutorials and videos. But long story short, in the repo you will find a source folder here, 2 notebooks to generate the fake data, then the pipeline notebook, and then on the resources you will see each resource definition. So as an example, on the gold schema, I'm defining the gold schema and also the grants. Take a look at here. So for the data engineers, I'm giving all privileges, and data consumers only have select permissions. And that's reflected, of course, on the workspace, because that's how I'm defining that. Let's check that on the gold schema, permissions, and there you go. That's what I define it. And to take this to the next level, you can just add your CI/CD pipeline into the project, right? You can add the Azure DevOps file or the GitHub Actions file, and it will be something like this. Check out the code, CLI, validation. The validate command is going to use this authentication from here. And if the validation is okay, then check out the code, install the CLI, and run the Databricks bundle deploy command from the CLI, because this takes place in a virtual machine on your favorite DevOps tool, right? So that's it, everyone. Thanks for watching this video, and I hope this is helpful. Bye.